Welcome to the Ole Mac Gang podcast, or OMG, a vodcast with a panel of longtime Mac Apple users who want to discuss the most relevant apps, services that are available to age-seasoned users. I'm Marty, an app enthusiast and podcaster. I am a 67-year-old age-seasoned user who has collected a great group of friends, folks from Mac user groups, folks from MacStock that we've met, and it's just good to have them here to talk about kind of their point of view, our point of view as an age-seasoned user. Let's see who we have on the panel today.
Hey, I'm Chris. I'm still 77 for another month. I've been around the Mac since November of '84. Did a lot of work with the Apple user groups in the Dallas area and Austin in Texas, and had an opportunity to work for Apple, and then finished off with a university in the Bay Area doing IT and volunteer photography. So I've been retired here in Tucson for the last 7 years, and I'm a happy member of the Tucson Mac user group. More on that in a minute. And I use an M1 Mac Mini, an iPhone 16 Pro Max, Apple Watch Series 6, and a 9th generation iPad.
I'm Peter. I'm 72 and live on Ohio's North Coast in Bay Village, not too far from Gary and Marty. I use many Apple products and services, including an M4 MacBook Pro, M4 iPad Pro, iPhone 16 Pro Max, and a Series 9 Apple Watch. I use all these daily, as well as a gazillion accessories to pursue many interests, things such as hiking, watching films, civic engagement, enjoying music, playing and promoting math.
And I'm Bob. I'm also in Tucson. I have been a Mac user since system 6 point something, and I've been active in Mac user groups since the early 90s. Gary?
I'm Gary. On 15th of July, I'll be 88, and for my birthday, I'm going to MacStock this year, and there I'm going to meet Bob and a lot of other wonderful people Marty's told me about. So I've been using Apple Mac products since around 2004 when I retired as a government auditor. Marty?
All right. Just checking in as we do every week at the start. Well, any news or anything that's going on. And I didn't see anybody add anything to the show notes, so I'll just mention I just got back from a trip this morning from the Center of Wisdom and Knowledge, Washington, D.C. And it was all right. My son is still on his work trip, so we were communicating around there. And so last night at around 11 o'clock, Will says, "Can we talk?" And I'm like, "Uh-oh." And he gets around to it, and basically he says, "I'm going to be out here until like June 19th. They've extended my work out here, and it's good pay." And he's doing fine. He goes, "But I'm going to need some more tech stuff." And, one of the things that he talked about in terms of tech stuff that he needed was, and one of the things he spoke about was that he had lost his Switch earbuds. And I think we mentioned this on a previous show. These things are great for sound reduction, and he's working on a construction site, and there's lots of extra added noise. And, he said, "I think I'm going to need you to, to get another set of these for me if I can't find them." And I said, "Okay, they're not too expensive." And I'm concerned about him being around loud noise, and this is great for sound reduction. I happen to have an extra set of these. I might just send him that because they're great on planes. But it's a small little box they're in, and he said, "I might have just thrown it out of my pocket by mistake," but he has found the usefulness of these in terms of sound reduction. And they call them switch because you just kind of rotate one side of them and it will reduce or make this to not, block the noise, or as you turn it the other direction, it gets more and more transparent. So that's just one thing I wanted to share. He's doing well out there, and he got some other good news in terms of employment. So we're all excited and happy for him. And then we spent the rest of the phone call trying to figure out how he was going to go to the North Woods in Wisconsin and meet up with us in Chicago just for MacStock, and then then drive back with us afterwards. So it was a pleasant conversation with him. I think one of the things that's new, that's really noteworthy, and is fits with part of our community. Have you seen the article on the accessibility that came out? And we'll have this link in the show notes for folks. This is pretty remarkable. I guess tomorrow is World International Accessibility Day. So yeah, Apple put this out saying this is what's going to happen with our new operating system in the fall. So there'll be accessibility nutrition labels that will help people understand nutrition levels, and we'll do reading, we'll make sufficient contrast. So people who are interested in knowing what they're putting in their body will be able to, if they have accessibility needs, will be able to see it. This I thought was exciting, the magnifier. And I'll tell you, my wife is got some vision issues, and we've been up to the Ohio Center for the Blind, or Center for Vision Center, and it's a remarkable public service. Peter, or Gary, have you been to that?
No.
Nope. Okay, it's a
No.
remarkable service, and it's for folks who are having issues with their vision, particularly acuity issues, and they have all sorts of accessibility objects that you can purchase and try, primarily magnifiers and screen magnifiers. And so we went up there and she got a full evaluation, and that evaluation went back to her eye doctor. And then this comes out, and this is something that she would really need and really use. And usually she doesn't get excited about Apple product stuff when I talk about it in the morning, but this excites her. She's waiting for it to come out. I hope that maybe the Apple Store would have an accessibility hour where they would show all the things that you can do on your phone, particularly when this new additions to the operating experience comes out. We'll also turn your iPhone into a full Braille note taker, integrated into the Apple ecosystem. So they will have an ability to launch that, and then accessibility reader, where you get to it will capture and text and do audio transcriptions on the fly. And then something in Vision Pro. Now, to me, it's surprising because one of the reasons that keeps Aileen from trying Vision Pro is because of her vision issues. And so I'm like, okay, it's nice that they put this into Vision Pro, but I wonder if people who have vision issues are even going to be interested in the product. But they're doing some interesting accessibility stuff with it. So, any comments from the group on this if you took a look at the article?
Well, I
You
just
know,
want to comment on Vision Pro, that people who have vision problems might be very interested in having that be a front end, to things they use to read books, different magnifiers, things like that, things that can crank up the contrast and stuff like that. I mean, I know that the couple friends I have who have vision issues were telling me monitor it closely and tell me if it's going to be something that you think would be good for me to check out.
Chris?
Back in the day when Mac OS 10 first came out, there was a bunch of accessibility stuff that had been in System 8 or what became at the end System 9. And that was gone. It wasn't included in Classic, and boy, did we hear about it in Apple support. I mean, our phones rang off the hook. It took Apple a while, it added them all back, but they're all back now. Problem is, they rarely promote it. So, I see people, particularly in our user group, who could probably benefit from some of the accessibility stuff. And I try to promote some of this, but I'm not sure it isn't falling on deaf ears. So I hope Apple will really spend some time around this and really promote it, because it's a big deal. And it really extends the availability of computing, obviously, to a much larger population.
Any other comments before we go on to the topics for tonight? I'm going to tell you though that again the link to this article is in the show notes, and it is, even whether you have accessibility issues or not, it's a really interesting article to see what the technology is doing to assist those folks who might have issues with accessibility and particularly vision. Seems to be the focus of the article with that. So tonight, I was sitting in an airport this morning at 6:30 and trying to think of a topic for tonight, and knew I had to get something out because we need kind of the day to find stuff and think of our responses and such. And I decided to do it a little bit about tech traveling and but non-tech gear. So, avoiding all of the software or hardware that we might talk about. And I'm like, this is a stretch. I don't know how y'all going to respond to it. And we've got two questions, and I think we've got some really rich ideas in terms of the kind of gear and the kind of things you like to wear when you're traveling. After that, we've all got a tip, so hang around for the tips that we've put together to share in terms of tips that users might benefit from. So let's go ahead and start. And the question was, what's your favorite travel bag? The bag that you grab to travel with.
Okay, so I'm a tech guy, so the first thing I think about when I travel is not do I have any clothes, but do I have all my gear with me? Uh, and I travel primarily by car, so that might be different than a lot of people who think, oh, flying or something like that. Uh, but I have two bags that I might choose. I actually would probably bring them both. One is big and one is little, and one is for lots and one is for not so much. So I have a backpack that I like, and it is Marty's showing. It's a Nomatic Backpack. It's probably similar to something Marty chose, but oriented differently. And it will fit my MacBook Pro. It will fit my iPad Pro, and an extra case because I use the Magic Keyboard or the Folio. It'll fit both of those. It'll fit my Kindle. It'll fit all kinds of connectors and gadgets that go with those. So it's an ultimate thing, and it looks good enough so that if I'm in a business office or something like that, you can grab the handle on the side and take it in. It's not exactly a briefcase, but it looks close enough that I don't get gawked at. It holds everything I would want tech-wise, with the exception of my large tripod, which is also stashed in the trunk of my car, so it's always with me too. If I'm going someplace where I want something light and small, or even on something like a bike ride or a hike, I probably would use a messenger bag, and I use a Timbuk2 classic messenger bag, but I use the extra small. It's very small, and it will fit my iPad Pro, It will fit the extra case if I think I need two cases, and it will fit my Kindle, and a few things, small book or something like that. So it's spacious enough, even though it's called for extra small. So those are my choices when I travel. I grab them both.
So I wanted to comment in general about your two choices. Nomatic was when I first found them, they were doing like Kickstarter stuff, or some sort of GoFundMe. But so I purchased their what they were selling on Kickstarter, and then proceeded and liked the quality of it. And it's expensive. I mean, in the range of just going to a Walmart and picking something up versus buying something Nomatic. You've got some vast difference in price with that. But Nomatic has a lot of those sleeves and a lot of those things for tech. That's very good. So I started looking at Nomatics and purchasing Nomatics as their new Kickstarters would come up. So I have a couple of the Nomatic bags that are the backpacks, and they came out with a couple of varieties of them. And then the one that I got, which was kind of a full backpack, we were looking at the 20 or 14 liter one. They have a 40-liter one, which is huge, but it's still within airline permission. So when I went to Singapore for 10 days, that was the bag that I carried on my bag, halfway across the world to get to it. And I didn't want to necessarily take a roller bag, because a roller bag, and then you have to transfer your luggage when you're going between countries and such. You dragging both a roller and the other one around just didn't seem to fit for me. And it would the backpack that you shared, Peter, or the 40-liter that I had, has made it so tech was readily accessible, so I could pull it out on the long flight in the plane. The Timbuktus I picked up on, I don't know where I picked up on them, but I have a couple of the Messenger bags in my closet, and I use them for between home and school. So, I want to put in my laptop, I want to put in some cables, and maybe I got to put in a bag or a folder full of paperwork. But that's what I use from home to school, back and forth. And those are also very good product line in terms of in like Nomatic. Timbuktu is a great product line. And I think we've got Bob up next.
Well, I have a rolling laptop case. Happens to be an Amazon Basics case, and it really works for me. I want this so I can have all my gear in the plane with me, along with the necessary stuff that I might need if my regular bag doesn't show up for a couple of days. I have a least favorite travel bag, and that is my case for my CPAP machine. I had a CPAP machine one time on an airplane inside a rolling duffel bag, and it was surrounded by clothes. And when I got it home, it no longer worked. The button that turns it on and off had been struck by something and broken.
Hmm.
Now, I asked my wife today if she had any contributions to this, and she said the most important thing for her, and this really is tech and not travel tech and not non-tech travel, is her set of Bose QuietComfort noise canceling headphones. And she really likes those. Does she use them to listen to music or to watch something on recorded on her iPad? Yeah, but she also uses it mostly to drown out to cancel out the noise of the airplane. And I have AirPods Pro 2 with active noise cancellation for the same reason. And I think that those are both important things to take along because your hearing is important. And as we get older, it's harder to hear. Over to Gary.
Well, with the CPAP,
Yeah.
I always hated traveling with the CPAP, and I know one of the things is, they have limitations in terms of how many bags you can carry. But if one of them is a CPAP machine or a medical device, that they'll allow you to have that on without any, without any other bag restrictions as a result of it. But I hated schlepping that thing around. But it was, for those of us who have sleep apnea, it is a necessity for us in terms of getting successful sleep. I've never used it on a plane before because I won't sleep on planes because I did one time and scared everybody off from my snoring. And so now I'm traumatized. I don't want to fall asleep. So, you do a 10-hour flight and you're really dying to go to sleep. But I did find, and this was an extra expense, if you have a CPAP machine, you generally have one. And if you go somewhere, you take that. But they have these little portable machines, and I was flooded with ads for it, and then broke down and bought one. And it's small. It's about, like a small box of Kleenex or even smaller. One of those little teeny boxes of Kleenex. And the tubing and the stuff that you have to have, and it fits into a padded bag that is about the size of a box of Kleenex, and that's what I pack inside my large travel bag, and haven't had any problems with it. But it does take up a portion of my suitcase, so it means either I'm packing less clothes or I'm getting a bigger suitcase to fit all of that in as part of it. But yeah, I know why you mean CPAP is your least favorite bag to take because they can get bulky. And if you use like humidifiers, you've got a whole extra piece you have to put in. I don't use humidifiers, so taking the full CPAP machine with me feels like a waste of space versus taking this little teeny one that I don't think has a humidifier. It maybe has an attachment, but I don't know where it's at because I never use it. So, Gary?
Well, Gary doesn't travel very much recently. However, I went on a plane to Raleigh, North Carolina, and I'm returning this summer, and I'm going to Macstock in the back of Marty's car, so I'm grateful for that. But I found a backpack. I put a picture of one, but it's not exactly the one that I have. And unfortunately, the one I have is about that size, and the one kind of like Peter showed, it's just got a very kind of a modern G on it. And for the life of me, I don't remember where I bought it. Probably REI because when we were camping, I did buy a lot of products from REI. But that one will fit, Marty, my MacBook Air and the extra monitor you told me about, KYY
Yeah, the
or something.
KYY, something like that.
Yeah, it's so that's what I used, and it's more obtrusive, Peter, than taking it into an office, but I just take it. So I put the link in there for REI, but that's what I've been using to travel with. So
Chris?
and it's of course got pockets for other iPad Airs, and it'll take quite a bit. So
Okay, Chris?
that's it.
Well, Yeah, I've been retired now for about 8 years, but during my university IT days and photography, I had a 15-minute walk from my bus to where my building was, and so I went through a whole variety of different bags, shoulder bags, wheel bags, and so on. They're all out of date now. I'm sure they've been replaced by something bigger and better. Um, but it really made a difference because, um, particularly when I went to the wheel bags, because my Nikon D610 had a long lens, a 28-300 lens, and it, this stuff was large and heavy and bulky, and so negotiating all of that, I got to be quite the expert on it. But I do also want to mention about the new portable CPAP because I got a notice on mine that said, the engine on your CPAP is past its useful life and you need to replace the unit. So I haven't told my sleep doctor about this yet, but I'm hoping I can replace it with that new travel unit because, as far as I know, they're completely interchangeable, right, Marty?
Yeah, I think the CPAP that I have at home is a much smoother kind of pattern. And although it
Okay.
has the same pressure, supposedly it's set at the same pressure that I've already had, the travel CPAP, I don't have the same attachment that I use at home now, and
Okay.
it feels like it's stronger. But frankly, when I'm traveling, I'm getting such lousy sleep anyways. It doesn't keep me awake. So yeah, they're a little different. I don't think they're as rugged, or my home unit definitely is there for the stay. I just don't know if I would use the travel CPAP for anything but travel. Um, just
Oh,
because
really?
I
Okay.
wouldn't think it has the lifetime in it that I would think I would have. So that would be my suggestion on it. Is get a standard CPAP, and then if you're going to do traveling, look at a travel, and you do it frequently. Look at a smaller travel CPAP, and there are some good ones on the market for that purpose. And for the life of me, I can't remember what mine is named. However, it's on the bag, written in nice black bag with written in nice big white letters. I look at it every time. It sits by the side of my bed underneath, so when it's time for me to go traveling, I can't remember the name of it. Um, so I'm going to go back to Nomad. Um, and I talked about the 40-liter bag, and the 40-liter bag is a little different. It's big than this one, which is sort of my go to now. And there's a reason why it's my go to now. This is the Messenger bag, and it is a good sized bag. Maybe right here on the floor. No, it's over in the corner where I'm going to pack it away until my next trip. But it's got some remarkable inserts and the availability of that, and it's fairly big. So the front panel you can open up, and the whole thing unfolds, and it leaves space in there. So typically, when I'm traveling, taking a laptop, I'm taking my extended monitor, and there's plenty of space in there for that. And if I'm taking my Vision Pro headset, it's wide enough that I can get that in I have a smaller bag than the large bags that people generally use for Vision Pro, but a small hard shell condensed bag that I can slip in there. What makes it nice is, and then then you have the outer flap, and there's opportunities for you to put things in there, cables, whatever you need. But what makes it nice is I have two bags in one. I have the bag that's carrying my Vision Pro inside the bag that I'm going to carry my tech on with, anyways. So when I walk through, the entrance to the plane, I just zip open the top of it, pull my Vision Pro out, put my Messenger bag up, and keep the Vision Pro down with me. So if it's anything more than a 2-hour flight, I can sit and watch a movie or do some work or do some other things with the Vision Pro headset. and it seemed a good compromise. It's a little bit bigger than what I would like to carry generally, but it goes unnoticeable after a while. So the Nomatic, messenger bag is sort of now my go-to bag. As I said, it has lots of side pockets and stuff. Now, we're just to let listeners know, we're not getting any kickbacks from this. I wish, but we're not, and I don't want to get into that whole sponsorship stuff. Just because, first of all, we're small peanuts as far as sponsors are concerned, but also, just not wanting to get into the mess with the money and all of that reporting and stuff like that. Next question is, do you have a favorite coat or article of clothing that serves you when you travel? Peter.
Yeah, well, the last time I flew was 8 years ago, and I don't have any particular clothing. It depends on the time of year and where I'm going and what I'm going to do, what clothing I wear. But back when I did fly, whenever TSA and all that started, so probably I've had this thing for 30 years, 35 years. Uh, I call it a pocket aggregator. I found it in some uh, airport store. I think some international store probably over in Europe, but I couldn't make it into the back part of my attic where my airplane luggage is to pull it out to see if there's a name on it. But it's a pocket aggregator, just everything I would normally have in my pockets at the airport: cash, passport, wallet, pens, pencils, all of that stuff goes into this thing that's right in the front. It goes over your
Yeah.
head and over your shoulder so somebody can't grab it. And it's right in front of you, really easy to get at if you need something. And when you get to the thing where you have to go through, it's easy to take off, put on, let it go through being scanned, and then put back on the other side. And then if you want to start repopulating your pockets later, you can do that at your leisure. But that's the one piece of clothing that I think I wouldn't fly without.
Bob?
Well, very much the same for me. I have a couple of photographer's vests in my travel closet of different sizes. I'm smaller now, so I have one that's smaller. I put a link in the notes, and Marty's showing it now to one that if I were buying one today, I'd probably buy that. And a photographer's vest, I bought it as a photographer's vest, but I like to use it when going through TSA because I can then, just like Peter said, put all the stuff from my pockets and my wallet and my watch and my glasses and everything in there, and then you just slip it off and you send it through the machine, and then you just put it back on when you're done. And so it has a lot of pockets, and I recommend that you do not buy one that has a gazillion pockets because then you'll tend to lose things. I've lost things in my vest. Gee, I know I put it in there someplace. What pocket did I put it in? When you got 25 pockets, it's sometimes hard to find things.
All right. Gary.
Well, recently I've been wearing a vest with just two pockets. One, because I don't seem to use the pockets in my jeans that much to keep a wallet or a cell phone. And as I mentioned, I wear my Apple Watch all the time, and have used it a number of times to find my phone, which has a blue cover on it, where if I were getting a new phone, I would get a yellow or red cover to find it. So I like to have the vest that would have a couple of pockets, and normally a shirt with at least one or two pockets to keep things in. I seem to want stuff more than I can get to with the pockets rather than the pants pockets. So, as I said, I'm not traveling that much, and I only have 4 or 5 things that I want to have with me all the time. Number one is the phone. Marty or
Chris.
Chris, I guess.
Yeah, I also, like Bob, have a photo vest. It's a little bulky though. So I sprung for a ScotteVest a couple of years ago, and I just love it. It's the lightweight model for tropical climates since I live in Tucson, and doesn't have quite as many pockets, but maybe that's an advantage. And the one thing I would suggest, I got the light khaki color, and I'm a little nervous about getting food and stuff on it. So I think I'd get a darker color if I were to do it again, despite the whole heat thing. And but back in 2001, I made a trip to Nepal and Tibet, and at the time we had these waist packs for our passport and currency and stuff, and you'd wear this thing around your waist under your shirt. And I mean to tell you, it was a real pain getting, the passport in and out and stuff like that. So the Scotty vest is really the answer for that. And I know, Marty, you're going to mention more about it, so I'll let you take over here.
Yeah, I think I first heard about Scott, and for listeners, it's Scott E-Vest. It's all one word, but it's a E-Vest. And I maybe it means electronic vest. I'm not sure, but I think I first heard about it years ago from Andy Anatko on Mac Break Weekly, and it might have been one of his picks. And I'm like, well, let me look into this. And they can run pricey, and I'm a big guy, so for me, sizing is always an issue with this. Is finding things that are big enough to fit me, and so I went with the Windbreaker, the ScotteVest Windbreaker, and it's a pack windbreaker. Pricing not so bad. It is very thin and very light, and I had it in Washington this weekend. And if you're looking at the video, you see again it has lots of pockets, and but it also has kind of a collapsible hood that rolls up into the collar, and side pockets. But I don't know if they show the remarkable thing about this. In the back of the uh, in the back of this Scotty vest, there's a zipper, and if you unzip it and you push it, there's a pocket inside of it. You push out the pocket, you can put the whole jacket inside this pocket, and it's a carton of cigarettes or smaller, maybe three-quarters of a carton of cigarettes, in size and dimension, and it's soft. It's almost like a head pillow, and I guess you could use it like that. It's also got some loops on it, so if you want to attach it to your backpack as you're traveling, it's just nice little tricky function. And sometimes it's like I'll take it to the airport. I don't want to schlep around another piece, so I'll just put it all in its nice little packet and then hook it onto whatever else I'm carrying. So it's nice. Yeah, Chris.
Marty, did the sleeves come off on the model you have? I think they make one that the sleeves unzip too and come off.
I've
So it
never,
turns
I've,
into.
I don't know. I've never thought of that. I really
There.
a warm. I generate a lot of heat, like a nuclear reactor, and so if you put a coat on me, it's because it's minus 10 degrees out. Otherwise, this light jacket is fine for me. I wish it was a little more water repellent. It says it's water
Oh,
repellent, but under a hard rain, I think it would be a test. So I'm really thinking more of looking at what you got, Chris, and maybe doing a step up for a better vest. But this is a photographer's tech vest that, without having pockets hanging all over you, it's kind of embedded within the process. And you can open the vest up and you can see little symbols for what supposedly can go in there.
Mm.
Um, I use it to go to school. when I've got to put something in my pocket. Generally, a water bottle in one and maybe an umbrella in the other. Although I don't like using umbrellas either. Um, so take a look at the Pack Windbreaker. And again, all of these links will be in the show. And I realize we're running a little long, so let's go on to tips. And Peter.
My tip is instant dictation or intermittent dictation. Anytime I'm typing on my phone or iPad or computer, uh, I might want to jump into dictating. Siri's gotten good at text recognition or whatever. And when I'm on my iPhone, right below the keyboard is a little microphone. You can tap it and just start talking, and it doesn't kill the keyboard, so you can make little corrections if it makes a mistake. Same thing on the iPad, although the mic icon might jump around on the on-screen keyboard. It's below the bottom row, and if you have attached a keyboard, a magic keyboard or something, it's alongside the word suggestions. Uh, and on a Mac, there's two ways you can trigger it. If you've got a recent computer, you probably have a microphone on your F5 key, and you can tap that. And if you don't, or you just double tap Control to toggle it off or on, and I find it works wonders.
Bob.
My tip is one that I thought of. I might not have thought of it first, but that is date your AirTags. Apple says the AirTags batteries will last about a year. I found that they last more than a year, going on 2 years. So I've decided that when I do replace them, I will change the name of the AirTag from camera bag to camera bag month/year.
Yeah.
That way, if I'm going to go on a trip and I look at that and I go, gee, it's been a year and a half since I changed that battery. Maybe it would be best if I changed it now preemptively. So you can change the name of your AirTags in your Apple iPhone, and I suggest that you add the date you put the battery in.
Yeah, the renaming of the AirTags I think is a great value because you can buy them with engraving on it or printing on it. It's very limited on what you can do. I take a permanent marker, fine point permanent marker, and number them, and then that connects it to the whatever bag I'm on. So I will change the name to M12 or M13 or whatever it is. I never thought about dating them with the battery, which is kind of to get a sense of the battery. I think they do give some sort of battery levels in Find My. I'm not
Only when they're at the very end.
Okay.
When
All
they
right.
first came out, it would show like 4 bars on the
Yeah.
battery. Now it shows you red, time to change the battery, but
Yeah.
nothing before that.
And changing the battery, it's, let me tell you, old fingers, less dexterity, less, pressure. It's crazy to change the battery on that. So you're doing a movement where you're putting it between your two hands and twisting it.
And yeah, you turn it a quarter turn or an eighth of a turn, counterclockwise, and then the two halves come apart. But before you
Okay.
take the battery out, make sure you know which side you can see, because you don't want to put the battery in upside down.
Yeah. 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 I have a device I'll share at some point that is they've taken an AirTag and they say take the battery out of the AirTag, now put it inside this device and put in two AA batteries, and it will supposedly the device will run for 10 years. You never have to replace the battery because you've got a larger cell in it. It's about like a stick of gum or a pack of gum in size, and that's always been my Achilles heel is Apple AirTag batteries and replacing them and knowing when to replace them. So Gary, what do you got for us?
Well, I got this from Peter, and I'm trying to use it more often as an app called Text Expander, which allows me and anyone to put something together and then use it when you're writing emails or text messages instead of repeating it over and over again. So that's mine, Chris.
Yep.
Yeah.
Text
Well,
Expander
okay.
is a great app. I use it for a lot of email communication now, and I've set up a whole library of shortcuts. So it is essentially what we think of in terms of macros that you program it for, and then when it follows along with whatever you're putting in as text, and when you put in the macro, it will completely expand it. So still working in some projects where I get the same email from people, from 5 people a day. And instead of doing a cut and paste, Text Expander is just incredible product. So I'm glad you brought that up, Gary. Chris?
Yeah, well, last week I had discovered that Shift Option with the F1 and F2 keys and the F11 and 12 would allow for quarter step increments in screen brightness or the volume. But that's the output volume. What I discovered this week is if you just only hold down the Option key and you press F10, 11, or 12, did I get those right? Yeah.
Yep.
What it'll do is bring up the system settings sound panel where your microphone input volume is. And this is all important if you use a real microphone, thanks to Gary, which I'm using now. And it, rather than fumbling around like, where is it? I've got to adjust my microphone. It's a system settings. Now, where's sound? Boom, just quick shortcut. For people doing podcasts, it ought to be invaluable. Likewise, you can hold down the Option key with F1 and 2 and bring up the displays panel in system settings if that's something you use. Some people like to be changing resolutions and sizes and stuff frequently. So boom, there it is. It'll just bring it right up. Very nice shortcuts from Apple.
Yeah, mine is, I'm going to be presenting at MacStock on AI. And a big part of Apple AI right now is writing tools. And writing tools, particularly on Mac OS. I think there are writing tools available on the other iOSs. I know it's in Vision OS and I know it's in iOS. But just with respect to Mac OS, I have a link to an article that's from Apple support to how to use writing tools, which is part of the new, as I said, part of the new AI. And I found it pretty valuable. It's in most cases, it's looking at what you have and right-clicking on wherever you're putting the text in. And if you page down to on the right-click menu, you'll find writing tools, and it'll open up a whole series of things that you can do in terms of, rewriting it, checking for spelling errors, checking for grammar errors. All of that is part of the writing tools on Mac OS. Yeah, Chris.
One thing on that, Marty, I discovered today, as a matter of fact, that with a complex email, if you've got a thread with multiple users and you just want to do your own at the very top, that if you go click on the writing tools button, I got an error message. It said, this email is inappropriate. But then what I did is said, okay, fine. I selected the text I wanted writing tools to cover and then right-clicked and went straight to proofread. And it worked like a charm. So we can select and right-click on any text pretty much anywhere, as far as I can tell, and right-click and bring up proofread. And it is completely invaluable for me. I mean, my friends are treating me like I was 10 years younger now because I'm not leaving out words or putting in random words. Thank you, Siri. And, it corrects all of that stuff. So God love it,
Any final words from the group? Those are our tips. Yeah, Gary.
Marty, where do the listeners and viewers how do they get the show notes? Because the show notes are extremely valuable this time around.
Yeah, thanks for reminding me of that. The show notes are available on, if you listen to the podcast version of this, whatever podcast app you're using. If you look at the information about the show, you will see show notes that I've embedded in that includes the links to the different products and the different kinds of ideas we've been talking about. So I'll put those in not only the podcast version of it, under the notes or the information around each episode has them around the episode, but also on YouTube. If you look at the video version of this, YouTube has a space where it's like a description of the program, and then it goes into availability. I think it's like 5,000 characters. And there have been a couple of times I've had to cut stuff out because we'd reached our maximum in characters in terms of information. But that's all on the video end too. You can find it in YouTube. The links will be there. And as Gary said, there's some really cool stuff in all of our shows. Some shows it's less. This case, there's more in terms of options for you to look at. MacStock's coming up. MacStock 9 is here for 3 days, July 11th, 12th, and 13th. And then we'll all celebrate Gary's birthday on the 15th. And it's going to be at Crystal Lake, Illinois, which is very close to Woodstock, hence Woodstock, Illinois, not Woodstock, avoid the brown
New
acid.
York.
But it's very close to that city, and so it's called MacStock. And we held it in Woodstock sometime. We have this great hotel with a large conference center that is just going to be full of MacStockers, not anybody else. And it's a great way and so we live where we work, and it's a great way to kind of commute and be there. Lots of great presentations. If you go to MacStockConferenceandExpo.com, Mike Potter has put a full menu with descriptions of what the speakers are going to be talking about and the titles of what they're speaking and when they're going to speak. So you can get a good flavor of what MacStock's going to be about. It's great if you can be there. If you can be there, that's wonderful. But we also know that there's a cost that goes on with the idea of flying, travel. I'm going to have Gary as a driving companion all the way from Ohio to Chicago, and then we'll pick up my son in Chicago and drive the rest of the way out. But it can be a large trip for a lot of folks. Well, you'll start seeing advertisements for virtual, which is the recordings of all of the trainings with the links to whatever the trainer is talking about available for you. And obviously it's a little cheaper. It's a cheaper ticket price, probably around $100. But if you want to join us at MacStock, use the code PodTalk50, and that will save you $50 on the live attending version of MacStock. Again, MacStockConferenceandExpo.com is where you can find all sorts of information about it. If you go once, you will go twice, third time, fourth time. There's a lot of return business to MacStock at the live version of it. Bob's been there. How many times have you been there, Bob?
I just trying to count that. I think I missed the first one, and I missed 2 years during COVID. So that 2016 to 2025 is 9. I think 7 times. This will be my 7th time.
Yeah, I missed everything except the first one. And I don't know how I found out about the first one, and then thought I need to go to this. So it's a great, and many people have been there many times, and it's a great experience, a lot of fun. So let's wrap up this episode. Our next live episode will be on Wednesday, May 7th. Not May 7th, excuse me. It'll be on Wednesday, May 21st at 9 p.m. through YouTube, where you can watch the crew at youtube.com/@Old Mac Gang. You can always pick up the podcast or video later if you miss a live show. Share this with your friends and with your Mac user groups. And it's great because I get the numbers and we are getting more and more people joining us every week. So thanks for sharing. You know, if you don't join us during the live recording, that's okay. But please pass this on to other people in terms of cool stuff that we're doing in our generation with regard to Mac and Apple things. Our music bed is from Philip Gross, Marrakesh, courtesy of the Free Music Archive. You can find more information about this podcast at our website, thepodtalk.net, along with other projects and other podcasts that I'm involved in. Thanks to the group, Gary, Chris, Peter, and Bob. Any fine words? Stay healthy, be healthy. See you next time. Thank you for being part of the Old Mac Gang.